Hey, I'm Emma, and I'm not much of a storyteller, but I need to get this off my chest. This all went down in Marken, a little speck of a village in New Holland. You know, the type of place where not even a leaf rustles without everyone knowing about it. My crew consisted of Anna, Julia, Eve, and me, just ordinary teenagers living in the middle of nowhere. But here's the thing about me. I've always been drawn to the dark and the unexplainable. Ghost stories, haunted houses, urban legends, I couldn't get enough. And my friends, well, they'd often get roped into my weird and spooky adventures. Now, Marken, it's like the place time forgot. Nothing ever happened there, and it drove me crazy. Until one day, I stumbled upon the creepiest legend of them all, Bloody Mary. The story went that if you stood in front of a mirror in a dark room and chanted her name, she'd appear. Yeah, like I said, I'm into this stuff, so I had to share it with my friends. Getting them on board, though, was like pulling teeth. Eve, the smart one, insisted on digging into this online rabbit hole first. She found stories and testimonials that sent shivers down our spines. People who claimed they'd summoned her, seen her in mirrors. We were scared, but that fear was like a magnet pulling us closer to the dark. So, one night, we set up in the bathroom. Candles lit, lights out, and the four of us huddled around the mirror. The room got colder, and our breaths formed eerie misty clouds. Bloody Mary, we chanted. Over and over, we said it, but nothing. The mirror just showed our scared faces. We were ready to call it quits, laughing off our own fear as silly, but that's when things got weird. A sudden icy gust blew out our candles. Panic, pure and unadulterated, seized us. We told ourselves it was just a draft, but deep down, we knew something was off. Eve, our voice of reason, wasn't ready to give up. She relit the candles, stood in the center, and told us to repeat her words, Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Then she muttered, I killed your son, her voice trembling like leaves in the wind. And that's when the world shifted. The mirror was warped and twisted. Eve's reflection, her face contorted, drenched in blood, stared back at us. We screamed, tripped over each other, and stumbled out of that cursed bathroom. But little did we know, that was just the beginning. That curse we'd unleashed was now clinging to us, like a darkness we couldn't escape. What happened next? It was a descent into a nightmare we couldn't have imagined. It toyed with our minds, plagued us with nightmares, and even possessed poor Eve. We were way out of our depth, and finding a way to stop it? Well, that was a nightmare all on its own. After that spine-tingling night when we summoned Bloody Mary, our lives turned sharply into the supernatural. We thought it was just a prank, a one-time scare, but we couldn't have been more wrong. The nights became a living nightmare, an endless cycle of terror. Each of us started having the same horrifying dreams. We'd find ourselves in eerie, twisted scenes, a woman named Mary, grieving inconsolably at her son's grave, her cries filled with heart-wrenching agony. We could see every tear, hear every anguished sob as if we were trapped in her torturous reality. The ground around her son's grave was always damp, the earth muddy and cold beneath our feet, as if we were there with her. We could feel the oppressive weight of grief in the air. Or we'd watch her making eerie pacts with the devil himself, her voice a sinister whisper in our minds. The dim, flickering candlelight cast long, unsettling shadows on the walls as we watched her exchange promises with the malevolent figure. Those dreams felt more real than reality itself, like we were trapped in a never-ending horror show, unable to escape. But it was Eve, poor Eve, who bore the brunt of the torment. She began seeing Bloody Mary everywhere we went. In mirrors, windows, reflections in puddles, there was no escape. It was as if Mary had singled her out, marking her as her own personal prey. Eve's once bright eyes grew sunken. Her skin turned pallid, and the terror in her gaze was something I can't put into words. Her eyes would follow something invisible, and she'd mumble incoherent words under her breath, her voice trembling with fear. As for the rest of us, we were far from spared. Our days were a haze of fear and unease. Hallucinations haunted our every waking moment, distorting our perception of reality. We'd see shadowy figures out of the corner of our eyes, hear unsettling whispers in the breeze, and feel icy fingers brushing against our skin when there was no one there. The lines between what was real and what was a product of our fear became blurred. Simple, everyday objects took on sinister meanings, like the flickering light bulb in the hallway, which seemed to be sending us messages in Morse code, or the old family portrait that seemed to follow us with accusing eyes. The very walls of our homes seemed to be closing in on us. And the air grew heavy with an unshakable feeling of dread. Nights were a descent into hell. The nightmares grew more vivid and twisted, each one a torment. We'd wake up in a cold sweat, unable to shake the feeling that Mary's malevolent presence lingered in the room with us. Every creak of a floorboard or rustle of the wind outside sent shivers down our spines. Sleep became a dreaded escape from which we couldn't wake. The air in our rooms would turn cold as ice, and whispers, the same sinister whispers we'd heard in our dreams, echoed in our ears. The room would pulse with malevolent energy, and the shadows seemed to come to life, taking on terrifying shapes and forms. Eve's suffering was on another level entirely. She'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, haunted by visions of Mary's wrath. Her once joyful laughter had been replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional terrified whimper. We watched helplessly as she deteriorated before our eyes, her skin pale, her eyes bloodshot, and her hair matted and unkempt. She spoke in riddles, her words laced with fear and paranoia. Our quest for a way to escape the curse led us on a relentless search, an unyielding pursuit of answers. We refused to let fear consume us, determined to find a solution. It was in the darkest corners of the internet that we finally found a glimmer of hope. After days of scrolling through endless forums and web pages, we stumbled upon a Reddit comment by an account named Elise65. The comment described Elise65's own terrifying experience with Bloody Mary and how, after performing some mysterious rituals, they managed to escape the curse. This comment gave us a newfound sense of purpose and direction. With renewed determination, we embarked on a journey to find the elusive Elizabeth. Our search for Elizabeth took us to a remote, decrepit house hidden in the depths of the woods. The eerie atmosphere that surrounded the place seemed to reflect the fear that had taken root in our hearts. The house was covered in ivy and shrouded in an ominous stillness. As we approached, the wind whispered haunting secrets, and the shadows seemed to come alive. The ancient oaks surrounding the house appeared to watch our every move. It was as though nature itself had conspired to keep us from uncovering the truth. The door to the house creaked ominously as we entered, and the stale air bore the scent of 1,000 forgotten secrets. When we finally located Elizabeth, her initial reluctance to help us was palpable. Her eyes carried the weight of untold horrors, and she was hesitant to share her knowledge. But after hearing our desperate pleas and realizing the depths of our despair, she eventually agreed to assist us. Her reluctance faded, replaced by a sense of duty and understanding. Elizabeth began unveiling the enigmatic ritual that she believed would be our salvation. She revealed that the key to breaking the curse of Bloody Mary lay in something known as the Sigil of Baphomet. The sigil was a complex symbol etched onto the floor of a dimly lit room, its lines and circles interweaving in an intricate pattern that seemed both mystifying and ominous. As we prepared for the ritual, we could feel the weight of our collective fear pressing down on us. Our heartbeats echoed in the dimly lit room, where candles flickered ominously. The incantations we chanted, though ancient and mystical, felt like desperate pleas for salvation. We could sense the presence of Bloody Mary growing stronger. Her anger palpable, the ritual itself was a harrowing experience. We followed Elizabeth's instructions meticulously, our voices trembling as we chanted the incantations. The room crackled with an eerie energy, and shadows danced on the walls. The atmosphere seemed to thicken, and a sense of impending doom hung in the air. Our summoning of Bloody Mary was unlike any previous encounter. She appeared with a ferocious intensity, her form contorted with rage. Her eyes bore into our souls, and her voice reverberated with a bone-chilling quality. It was clear that she desired revenge, and her malevolence was palpable. During the negotiation, Bloody Mary's silent proposal sent shivers down our spines. Her focused look and malevolent smile revealed her dark intentions. Elizabeth, an old woman now, contemplated the offer. We watched in stunned silence as she made her decision. Her eyes, filled with wisdom and selflessness, told us that she believed our lives held more value than her own. She accepted Bloody Mary's offer, sealing her fate. In a heart-wrenching moment, Elizabeth fell to the ground, immobile and lifeless. We rushed to her side, but there was no breath, no pulse. She had died instantly, sacrificing herself to save us from the curse of Bloody Mary. Eve, who had been a steadfast companion throughout this ordeal, fainted from the shock. When she awoke, all she could recall was the day we had summoned Bloody Mary, with no memory of the events that had transpired since. We could only wonder at the depth of the horror she had witnessed in the otherworldly realm of Bloody Mary. As we grieved for Elizabeth, the room seemed to pulse with a heavy silence. The curse had been broken, and Bloody Mary vanished into thin air. We had paid a steep price for our freedom, and the room felt emptier without Elizabeth's presence. Returning to our normal lives, we were forever changed by the haunting journey we had endured. We decided to leave our paranormal pursuits behind. Except for me. The experience had ignited a passion within me, inspiring me to become a paranormal investigator. The memory of Elizabeth's sacrifice and the horrors we had faced remained etched in our minds, a testament to the darkness that sometimes lurks just beyond the veil of reality. Looking back on our journey, I can't help but acknowledge that sometimes the darkness in our world is more tangible than we could ever imagine. It's a reminder that the supernatural and the unexplained can intrude into our lives, leaving an indelible mark on our souls. This is the conclusion of our chilling story, a tale of sacrifice, fear, and the enduring power of the unknown.